There is a photograph on my nightstand of my son when he was 7 years old, smiling at me like I was the whole world. I have looked at that photograph every night for 43 years, and every night I have asked myself the same question. Why didn't I just say it? 3 small words. I am 84 years old, and somehow I never found the courage to say them to my own son. Not on his birthday, not at his wedding, not even the night he became a father himself. Then, 3 months ago, a phone call in the middle of the night changed everything I thought I knew about love, about pride, and about the cost of staying silent. I was born in 1942, in a small farming town where men did not talk about feelings. My father was a quiet, hard man. He worked the fields from sunrise until his hands bled, and when he came home, he did not hug me. He did not tell me he was proud of me. He simply nodded, and that nod was supposed to be enough. I grew up believing that love was something you showed by providing, not by saying. Words like "I love you" were rare in our house, almost like a holiday that never came. My father once told me that real men did not need soft words, that hard work was the only proof a man needed to give. So that is what I believed for most of my life. When I became a father myself, at 34 years old, I thought I was doing everything right. I worked 2 jobs to put food on the table. I never missed a single bill. I thought that was love. I thought my son would simply know, the same way I was supposed to have known. My wife, Eleanor, was different. She told our son she loved him every single day, sometimes 5 times before breakfast. She used to look at me and ask why I could not just say it too. I would change the subject. I would tell her I showed love in other ways, through the roof over our heads and the food on the table. She would just shake her head, like she already knew something I refused to understand. My son's name is Michael. When he was a boy, he used to run to the door every evening waiting for me to come home from the factory. He would hold up his drawings, his school papers, his small victories, and all I ever said was, "Good job, son." 3 words, but never the 3 words he was really waiting to hear. There was a night when Michael was 12 years old that he asked me directly. He looked up from his homework and said, "Dad, do you love me?" I remember the silence in that kitchen like it was yesterday. I remember my throat closing up. I said, "Of course I do. Why would you ask such a thing?" But I never said the actual words. I changed the subject and went back to reading my newspaper, and I have replayed that moment in my mind for 38 years. Years passed like pages turning in a book I could not slow down. Michael grew into a teenager, then a young man. He moved out at 18, went to college, and started building his own life. We talked on the phone sometimes, mostly on holidays. The conversations were always short. "How's the weather? How's work? Take care." Never anything deeper. I told myself that was just how fathers and sons talked. I told myself we did not need the words because we both already knew. But the truth was, the distance between us kept growing, quietly, the way a crack spreads across a window without anybody noticing until the day the whole thing shatters. The crack became impossible to ignore the day Eleanor passed away. It was 11 years ago. Michael came to the funeral. He stood beside me at the casket, both of us staring at the only person who had ever said the words easily, the only person who had been the bridge between us. After the funeral, Michael hugged me, stiff and brief, and said, "I'll call you, Dad." He did not call for almost a year. That year, I sat alone in the house Eleanor and I had built together, surrounded by a silence I had never noticed before, and for the first time, I understood what I had done. I had spent 50 years building walls out of pride and calling them strength. I had let a habit of silence cost me the one relationship I valued more than my own life. Then, 3 months ago, I got a phone call in the middle of the night. It was Michael's wife, Sarah. Her voice was shaking. She told me Michael had been in a car accident on his way home from work, and he was in the hospital, and the doctors did not know if he would make it through the night. I remember sitting in that hospital hallway at 3 in the morning, 84 years old, gripping the arms of a plastic chair, praying to a God I had not spoken to in years. I remember thinking, if my son dies tonight, the last real conversation we ever had was about the weather. 50 years of silence, and that is what I would be left with. When they finally let me into the room, Michael was awake. Bruised and broken in places, but awake. He looked at me, and for a moment neither of us said anything. Then he said the words I had never managed to say to him first. He said, "Dad, I love you. I've always loved you, even when I wasn't sure you loved me back." I stood there, an old man crying in a hospital room, and for the first time in 84 years, I opened my mouth and let the words out. I told my son I loved him. I told him I had always loved him, since the day he was born, since the day he first smiled at me, since every single day I never said it out loud. I told him I was sorry it took a car crash and a hospital bed to finally say 3 words that should have been said 10,000 times before. Michael recovered. He is home now, healing, and something between us has changed in a way I cannot fully explain. We talk every single day now. Real talks. Not about the weather. About our lives, our regrets, our hopes for the time we still have left together. I tell him I love him every time we speak, because I finally understand something I wish I had understood 60 years ago. Love that is never spoken is a gift the other person never gets to open. I am 84 years old, and I do not know how many sunrises I have left. But I know this much. I will not let another day pass in silence. If you are listening to this, and there is someone in your life you love but have never told, do not wait for a hospital bed to teach you what I learned the hard way. Pick up the phone. Say the words. Tell them today while today is still yours to give.